Take us back to the beginning. How did you discover your passion for music?
Yeah, I've been music has always been a goal for me. At the end of all this, man, I just didn't. I grew up in a super small town. There was like no one doing what I'm doing there, and so I didn't know how to make music. I always had this like strong passion for it, but I didn't understand like how to put it all together. And um, and coming out here and having such great success with the whole social media side of stuff, that led to me like meeting other people in the industry, whether it's artists, producers, songwriters, etc., and just like getting more in the studio, learning the creative side of it, and just slowly like building out my own music and building out my sound.
Segue to this next question, but you've said in previous interviews that you spent the last few years really honing in on your sound, figuring out the message that you want to get across with your music. What has that process been like? What's had the biggest impact on the artist that you are today?
Yeah, I'm very hard-headed and very indecisive sometimes. So the process has definitely been all over the place. I went from, making R&B music to like I tried rock music, I tried some ballads, I tried like all this stuff, just like just doing a little bit of everything. I've done some country. I've um I sat back and I went through a couple things in life, whether it's like I went through some breakups, I went through, just all this stuff. And so I started, I was like, I don't really talk to people about my problems. I'm really bad with that. Everyone's like, go to therapy. And I'm like, I can't fucking talk to people about my problems. And, uh, and so I just turned and leaned to my music, and I just started writing songs about stuff that I was going through on a daily basis, and just real moments, because I feel like, I'm going through stuff that everyone else is also going through. And that's the easiest for people to connect to. And and so I've just, yeah, I mean, I'm really in that direction of this like country pop urban like kind of like thing, and it's really cool.
In life, and especially in this industry, people will try and put you into certain boxes, and you got your big break on social media, but music actually came first for you. Has it been a challenge to reintroduce yourself as a musical artist?
That's been definitely one of the hardest things that I've had to do so far. It's easy to be a quote unquote like hot guy on the internet and get followers for it or do these videos and all that stuff. And at the same time, as much as I'm so thankful for that, and I'll never take for granted like what TikTok has done for me. But also at the end of the day, it's also been a little bit of a curse as well, because I like got put in this like box of like and it's really hard to make people believe me as an artist, or like just like make that conversion over to being an artist. So that's one thing that my team and we have a good strategy on. We're headed in the right direction. It's a slow process, but it's definitely going in the right direction though.
And you've been incredibly open about the fact that during the height of your career, you were probably at your lowest. How has music created the outlet for you to explore those experiences? Has it ever been nerve-wracking to kind of tap back into those experiences?
Yeah, man, it's always very nerve-wracking. It's very, like I've said before too, there's so, you would think that after doing this for so long and being in the public eye for so long, like I would be a little bit more comfortable going out in public, or a little bit more comfortable with just like going out in front of thousands of people or whatever it is. And it's actually made me, if anything, more insecure and more like closed off, because of how judgmental everybody is.
Mm.
And yeah, it's definitely not easy, but going back there is and writing these amazing songs, it definitely helps me go back there. I like I said, I don't really talk to anybody about my problems. I'm more of I'll just figure it out myself, and I turn to music. That is like my therapy. That is my the only thing that doesn't feel like work to me.
You've dropped a couple of singles so far in your career. If you had to pick one that best represents who you are as an artist, which would it be and why?
This next one dropping, I would say. I know I have dropped a couple already, and this one isn't out yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this one that dropped. It drops in 2 weeks. It drops on June 9th. So I would definitely say this one. It's called I Hope, and I wrote it about a girl that I was talking to at the time, and shortly found out that she was not quite over her ex. And so I just wrote it's just I use that as inspiration of saying like, like I hope he can give you everything that I don't. And just all around, not even just topic wise, but just sound wise, vocal wise, production wise, like this is like the direction that I'm starting to go in. And it's honestly my favorite song, one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And I'm really excited for everyone to hear it and just hear this new like wave that I'm on.
Earlier this year, you released Human, and it's probably one, if not your most vulnerable song to date. Has it always been easy for you to kind of tap into that side of your artistry?
Um, for me, releasing it, no, it's always, I'm very nervous to release stuff like that because I don't know like what people are going to say about it. Everyone's so judgmental, like I said. But as far as like, man, I have so many songs that are so sad, man. Like even sadder than that, and like it's easy for me to like hone in on that whenever I go through stuff every day just like everybody else, and I'll just go in my studio and just write songs about it. Like I'll just go in there and like that's what I say. It's super easy for me to do that and write my music because it doesn't feel like work. It is like my therapy, if anything.
Yeah.
When it comes to me being like, okay, I really like this song and I'm gonna drop it, that's when I'm like, oh God, there's when my heart starts going. I like start panicking. I'm like, I just hope everyone loves it as much as I do.
What is your songwriting process like, and has that changed throughout the years?
It's definitely changed throughout the years of me like learning the process and like I mean everyone has their own ways of writing music and doing stuff, but I'm like with a great producers, great songwriters right now. We have like a cool strategy to everything, but I usually work with these two guys. They're called the Chapters, and they're amazing producers. And we basically start from scratch. We'll like they'll just work on some chords, like whether it's piano, guitar, start building out a beat. And then I usually only have like me and one of my homies in there writing with me. I don't like a lot of people and all that stuff. But yeah, and then we just do some melodies, and then we'll just start writing to those melodies and then laying it down.
Like you were saying earlier, you struggle with stage fright. How are you able to calm your nerves ahead of a performance or ahead of a new single dropping?
I get I do like just like everybody else, you get these nerves. That's normal. It's like if someone says they're not nervous, they're lying. It's,
Yeah.
that's just part of life. But I would say, man, I learned to just like realize that like, hey, I'm just gonna go out there, be me, do what at the end of the day, it's gonna happen. Life is gonna continue to happen how it's supposed to happen, and just whether they accept it or not, I'm just going out and I'm being me.
As we look ahead to the rest of 2022, what can fans expect from you? Are we leading to maybe a larger body of work? Is there a tour in the works?
Yeah, so all of it, man. We're working on a lot of new music. We have a lot of singles coming out right now. Right after the other, we're just pushing out music, making people just like realize I'm an artist. We're in talks with some shows this summer. I have a cool festival that I'm doing. It's the CMA Fest next month on June 11th, and some other bigger shows and tours and stuff like that. That's also in the works. So I'm super excited for that. And yeah, man, just getting music out nonstop. Just keep going.
We just like to end all of our interviews with a pop culture lightning round. Is there a band or artist that fans would be surprised to learn is on your playlist?
A band or artist, probably. I always say this a lot, like low-key takes people by surprise, but I listen to a lot of worship music. That's like I'm either crying in the car to some heartbreak shit, or I'm listening to worship music. That's like, I don't really listen to like hip hop, R&B like that unless I'm in the car with a bunch of homies and they're like, yo,
Hmm.
stop all this sad shit, let's turn up. And I'm like, all right, fine.
What about the first album you ever bought or streamed?
I think the first album that I ever got was Justin Bieber's album. I think that's the one that I got. I think it was what was like his like early ones, like it was like My World or whatever.
Hmm.
Believe, no, not Believe. That it was, I think My World was before Believe, but I think it was Bieber's. That was the first like album that I got. I think honestly back in the day when I was like 13 years old, like I don't even know.
What about the first concert you ever attended?
The first concert I ever attended, I think it was. I actually think the first like concert I ever went to was Russ's concert, which was a couple of years ago. I like never went to a concert before,
Hmm.
and my friend was like, "Let's go," and I was like, "All right, sick." And Russ invited us out, so I was like, "All right, let's go." And then we just went, and it was so cool.
But what about an album that changed your life and why?
Probably one of Justin's albums. I listened to him a lot. He's been a big inspiration to me through the music of like, just like I would. That's how I learned a lot of like the runs that I do and like
Mhm.
a lot of like vocal performance that I have. I just like studied him a lot and all that stuff. But probably one of his, because I just really felt I really felt like his style of music. I really like, I don't know, he's super creative, he's super talented and stuff like that. So
Yeah. What about we were talking about touring earlier. What about a venue that's on your bucket list to perform at?
like everyone's is like that, like Madison Square Garden or like well, it's now crypto, or like the AT&T Stadium, like my hometown Dallas, like, you know, like that'd be like crazy one day to like perform at.
Uh, when you're on the road, what's a must-have?
A must have. Oh, probably chocolate milk, man. Yeah,
Hmm.
some chocolate. Are you talking about like to bring on the road with me? Like, are you talking about like, what are you talking about? What is it?
When you're on the road or when you're traveling, I think
Traveling?
chocolate.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I would say, oh, maybe that chocolate milk is so random. I'm like, yeah, I'm just
especially
thinking
when
like
it's
random, because I was thinking of like random things that I would have that I just need on the road. And I'm like, because I drink chocolate milk every day and everyone makes fun of me for it. But I'm like, you know what?